everybody, it's time to look at another Sonic collection. This one is the famous Sonic Mega Collection. The reason why I like to look at these collection is, well, Sonic Jam, of course, had the interesting Sonic World mode, and that, of course, was interesting because it was kind of a beta for Sonic Adventure. However, the reason I'm looking at Mega Collection is because not everybody plays these games on original consoles. After all, I mentioned at the end of these videos where you can find these games and how expensive sometimes buying physical copies of them are. So that's just nerdy stuff I'm into, but where to actually play them. And here we're going to take a look at one of the main collections. I'm not going to look at, like I said, I'm not looking at every collection, but there's a lot of interesting Sonic collections. There's probably none more interesting than Sonic Mega Collection. Mega Collection released in 2002 on the GameCube, and later it would get a updated release in 2004 for the PS2, Xbox, and PC in 2004, known as Mega Collection Plus, which we'll also be covering today. We're looking at the base GameCube version. And Mega Collection basically lets you play most of the classic Sonic games right from the get-go on in the game. However, you'll notice that there are missing little things there. The one thing I will mention, Mega Collection is not a perfect collection. While you can get, just from the get-go, play Sonic 1, 2, 3, 3D Blast, Spinball, and Robotics Mean Bean Machine. Some of the other games you have to unlock by, how do you unlock them? By playing a game 50 times. Yeah, each game is played 50 times. That can be pretty annoying, especially since the complete version of Sonic 3 being Sonic the Hedgehog 3 Knuckles. Well, you have to unlock it by clicking on Sonic 3 or Sonic and Knuckles 50 times each to unlock this, as well as the Blue Sphere minigame and Knuckles and Sonic 2. For bonus games, we get Flicky, which I consider to be a Sonic game, since Flicky pretty much becomes a Sonic character after Sonic 1, even though he debuted in his own original game, being, Flicky. But yeah, that's another bonus game. It's the easiest one to unlock, since it only requires to do 20 logs in one game rather than 50. Like, I don't understand that logic. It makes sense, like, start off the game and get to a certain level. That at least it makes some sense. Like, play Sonic 2, 3, and Sonic and Knuckles once or twice. But no, 50 times? That's kind of insane, Sega. What were you thinking? And the other unlockable game is actually not really related to Sonic at all, being Rise Star. I might have mentioned Rise Star in the past, but essentially Rise Star was developed by Sonic Team. In fact, it was the idea that was originally going to be Sonic is Rise Star, being the rabbit game where you grab stuff. I'm probably sure I mentioned that before, but yeah, this is a good way to play that game, but there's plenty of other ways to play it too. Not its original version, because, Sega, for some reason, the original Genesis game copy is really expensive, even though it's been released multiple times. Also, despite it actually having critical acclaim, it only has one game release. What the hell, Sega? Re-release your games, or even add sequels to your games. That's what I mean to say. You actually are pretty good at re-releasing most of your games, if they're on the Sega Genesis, that is. In Japan, we get two exclusive games not on the Western release, like The Ooze, which, I actually never heard about until this point. It's a pretty interesting game, to say the least, so if you have the Japanese copy, here you go. I'm pretty sure there's other ways to play this game. The other exclusive game in the Japanese version is Comix Zone. A lot of people probably heard about this Sega Genesis game. It's one of those that's on every release of the Genesis collection, so it's nothing too unique. But hey, at least it's something you get. How do the games play is a real question. Well, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 still has its offset in title screen, and it pretty much plays exactly how it does on the Sega Genesis, well, just, on the GameCube or PS2 or Xbox, depending on which version you have, or PC to be exact. The game did not decide to add any new features like the Sonic Jam did, or later releases of the games would. So this is one of those true to form games, and that's fine. It looks pretty good, actually, and it plays well. This is a good way to play this game. Even though you have to unlock it, you can easily get Sonic 3 Knuckles, which was a game that was kind of hard to get for a while there until Sonic Origins. Once you get tired of a game, you can just press the Z button, and you can either go to the game title or save and exit. But the real crowning jewel of the Sonic Mega Collection is the Extras category. The main reason why Mega Collection is so well known are in the fact that it was probably one of the easiest ways to get the classic Sonic games during the 6th generation. Keep in mind, Sonic was exclusive to Sega consoles at this point, and most of them were on the Sega Genesis, so it makes sense to, hey, how about we re-release these games on pretty much every console? Now that we're going multi-platform, it makes sense to have it that way. And not only that, but it has a very unique aesthetic. All versions do. The GameCube version in particular has a very unique one. As a matter of fact, we have a lot of cool extras, much like Sonic Jam did. You can take a look at the manuals here from all the classic games that were featured here. Like from Sonic the Hedgehog, you can read the exact same manual that was there, that kids read in 1991 when they first popped open their copy. Through here, we can see a gallery of comics, illustrations, and even a couple movies. The comic one is the most interesting, at least in my opinion. As someone who's tried to read all of them, I kind of read it for the most part on YouTube. I stopped. let me know if you want me to go through these again, because I will do that at some point. But yeah, here we can actually take a look at some of the Sonic comics. It actually gives us one of them, actually, right here, being Sonic the Hedgehog First. The reason they show this one, because it actually is a small collection of certain stories that show the first ever Sonic comic Archie ever made, as well as the first appearance of certain characters like Bunny, Knuckles, and Super Sonic. And it gives a good idea what they were like, especially back in the day. They're a lot different than they were at the time of this comic, and even later on, even to the current day. But yeah, Sonic and comics have a long history, and since Sonic, has had the most comics of any video game character by a landslide, it makes sense to have a little section for them here. But it's weird because we don't get this very often. In fact, Mega Collection is like the only time that a lot of these characters or this world was even mentioned by pretty much anything that wasn't the comics themselves. But yeah, it's a very weird and unique way to see it. Especially with the music in the background, it makes these seem a lot more interesting and epic than they actually are. Especially these early issues, which really aren't that great. But hey, the music here, which I'm pretty sure I've had edited in the background, is just otherworldly. Not only that, but you actually get to see every Sonic comic cover up until that point, including all the spin-offs and everything like that. This is the Archie usually, doesn't have the promotional comic or the Fleetway comics, but it is pretty cool. They even had to censor out some of the characters there that they were parodying, which is kind of funny. I imagine, actually I did this as a kid, but mostly people who saw this would imagine what were these comics like. Some of these weren't the easiest to get their hands on. They did have some re-releases, but that unfortunately ended with some legal problems and Archie losing rights. But yeah, these comics are actually pretty hard to get a hold on unless you're pirating them. But it's really cool that a lot of their covers are preserved on this game disc right in front of us. The comic themselves are already preserved online, but being able to read them in person is a lot difficult. So yeah, this is pretty cool. It gave a lot of people to acknowledge, hey, these comics exist and they kind of look interesting. Some of them look a lot worse than others, but some of them look a lot better than others. I mean, what can beat the best Sonic cover of all time? Sonic Alive. This Sonic's gonna haunt your soul and grab you and suck you into a TV. This comic was super weird. Anyway, enough of those comics, let's go look at the illustrations. Illustrations isn't that interesting compared to the Sonic Jam versions. There's not that many illustrations here compared to even future games, like even the Classic Collection. But we got a couple of illustrations of Sonic himself, including color guides from American ones and some newer artwork. There's not a whole lot of overall artwork here, though. There are some interesting ones. A lot of these you can find easily online, but it's cool to read some of their bios. The bios aren't really that long or even that in-depth, to be honest, but it's still pretty neat. You can even see this really ugly style guide for Robotnik from the American Guide. This is a terrible design. I'm sorry, I hate that design. Pretty much every other character, though, gets just generic stock artwork for one each, so nothing too interesting there. If you like some of the other characters, well, there you go. There's not a whole lot going on here. Not a whole lot. But there is quite a few cool illustrations from blank cover art and all the sort of things that fans like me love. Though, like I said, a lot of these are pretty easy to find online. But you get to see these really awkward-looking renders for the new Sonic Adventure DX. I mean, this render looks awful, to be honest. Even though I like this era, but some of these look really janky. I guess I prefer them over the new renders they use, which look terrible as well, but not in a new charming way, just plain bad. These are a little janky, but in a fun way. You even got some more illustrations, kind of reminiscent of that screensaver images with characters and weird outfits like that. Like this teaser image for Shadow for Sonic Adventure 2, which is really cool, actually. And this Christmas gift for all the characters. Really lovely. I wonder what Amy has in her pocket. Is that a walkie-talkie or a cell phone? The world may never know. The last section is the movie section. The movie section isn't as interesting based on what you get. We get the Sonic CD intro as well as the outro here, and this, of course, is a great animation here. I think everyone likes it, and it's nice to see it here. Though it's weird that Sonic CD was not included, but some other weird Genesis games were. For this collection, they really were emphasizing the Genesis and not some Sonic games that would have made sense to be here, like CD, which had to be released in the Gems collection instead. And other games like Knuckles Chaotix, which they never have re-released to this day. I mean, it would have been perfect for something like this, but oh well, Sega does what Sega do. The other movies aren't really that interesting. There's a trailer for the Adventure 2 Battle, which at this point was already released, but hey, it's you can buy Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on your Nintendo GameCube. Alright. I already talked about Sonic Adventure 2, so no reason to go over here. There's also a trailer for Sonic Advance 2, which was not translated in English, you can tell by the footage they're using here. I don't really need to talk about Sonic Advance 2 either, since I quite literally just covered it the last time we talked about Sonic, so yeah, Sonic Advance 2, go watch my review. Other than that, I'd say it's a good game. Despite its name in the last video, History of Sonic really isn't that interesting. It doesn't really have like the people interviews or anything making of the character. It's pretty much just, here is what this game was like. That's in the next game. In kind of a vague way. It would have been interesting if they went more in depth, but hey. What was the main idea of making Sonic Mad Collection? Well, it was actually made by Sonic Team. They wanted to introduce kids to the Sonic games. In fact, they wanted to include a lot of Sonic games. They developed a new emulator to run these games as smoothly as possible for Nintendo GameCube and, of course, later console releases. And they were proud of what they were able to accomplish. However, what they wanted to do did not end up doing pretty much all that it could. Sonic CD was, of course, intended to be a part of this collection, which is why they have the movie fit files in there. However, for some reason they couldn't fit it on the disc. I don't really know if I believe that, but whatever. Maybe the game is just a lot different when what they're trying to do. Of course, this game ended up being on the GameCube for the Gems collection, which is what some of the other games wouldn't include, including Vector Man for some reason, Sonic R, and Sonic Shuffle. Yeah, those games would go to the Gems collection, except for Sonic Shuffle. They just decided to screw that game, I guess. Poor Sonic Shuffle, he never got re-released. And I called it one of the worst Sonic games that has ever been released. So yeah, Sonic Shuffle does not have a good track record. However, all the other three games, including Sonic CD, Vector Man, Sonic R, including others, would go on to the Gems collection. One of the coolest things that was going to be featured in the Mad collection was the original Sonic 1 prototype. Sega lost it, and according to Yuji Naka, they were really bad at preserving stuff, which is one of the reasons why he would soon leave the company a couple years after this, like 2 years, something like that. He would go on to do nothing and make Battle in Wonderworld, and then get arrested. Wah wah. But yeah, it's a shame that we never got to see this little interesting prototype in action. I'm not sure what exact Sonic 1 prototype it is, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. As I mentioned earlier, 2004 will give us Sonic Mad Collection Plus, in addition to the game that was released not on GameCube, but Xbox, PlayStation 2, as well as PC. The aesthetics were also changed for this version. I don't think it's bad, but I'm with a lot of other people who think that the original GameCube aesthetics are better. Mad Collection Plus also adds new games, those being Game Gear games pretty much. Nothing too spectacular here, but they're kind of oddity that they weren't really included in the other game, but you know, they're included here. GameCube players had to unlock them in Sonic DX in order to get these, but Xbox and PS2 users, well, they can get them right from the get-go. The Game Gear games they include is Sonic the Hedgehog 1, Sonic Labyrinth, Sonic Drift, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Blast, and Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. Some of them, like Sonic 2, Triple Trouble, I believe, as well as Sonic Drift 2, were included in Gems collection. So yeah, so they're split up between two games. Other than the fact that, Vector DX has all of them. I don't know why they couldn't include all of them in one cartridge, since, Vector DX is the whole game as well as all of these little games attached to it, but who knows what goes on in developing hardware for 6th generation consoles. The most notable thing is that the extras includes a new feature, movies from Sonic Heroes. Instead of showcasing trailers for Sonic Adventure 2 or Sonic Advance 2, we actually get trailers for the new upcoming Sonic game, Sonic Heroes. And it's not finished, as you can see. They actually are showcasing the intro of unfinished graphics and storyboards, which is super insane to me, since Sonic Heroes is the first game I played, and up to this point, I never saw this. Like, what the? I'm surprised they even showcase. It's cool to me, but I'm surprised they would showcase, open it, yeah, here's what the prototype of this looks like. It's not finished, but yeah, there's some elements that are. Like, I wouldn't have done this if I was a company, but I'm glad they did, because it looks really cool. From what I understand, it seems like the Mad Collection Plus is a better version. I'm not sure. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't play as good. I do have it on PS2 and played pretty much fine for what I remember. I don't really play PS2 that much, but I tested this game out, so from what I understand, it plays about the same, but overall, a lot of the features are better on this version of the game, to be honest, based on what I see, including unlockable things, because it's a lot easier to unlock things. For example, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, all you need to do is play Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles 20 times each rather than a random 50 times. Knuckles and Sonic 2 is about the same thing with Sonic 2 and Sonic Spinball. Blue Sphere is 20 times each for Sonic 1 and 3 and Sonic 3D Blast. Flicky, all it is for play Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine 30 times. Rystar, play Knuckles, Sonic 2 and Sonic 3 and Knuckles and Blue Sphere and Flicky 30 times each. I know it's kind of a ridiculous amount, but it's less than 50, so I'll give it that. Comic Zone, which is available now, not just for Japanese only, is you play the Sega Genesis games 50 times each, or have a specific have a save file of Sonic Heroes on the same storage drive. The Ooze is unlock Knuckles and Sonic 2, Sonic 3 Knuckles, Blue Sphere, Rystar, Flicky, or have the save file of Sonic Heroes on the same storage drive. So yeah, they're still fucking annoying. However, there is a shortcut. I guess you'd have a Sonic Heroes save file on your PS2 or Xbox, and you're good to go. Another cool thing to know about this is that Sonic Drift, which is not a great game, but hey, they added multiplayer support where you actually can play against a different person. They have a second controller plugged in, and it does split screen, which is pretty neat because, as you know, that wasn't how it usually worked. Now you actually can play the multiplayer mode of Sonic Drift, which most people haven't done because who owned 2 Game Gears and a cable of 2 copies of Sonic Drift at the time? The answer is nobody. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Sonic the Hedgehog Mega Collection. Well, no, the Hedgehog, just Sonic Mega Collection. A very important Mega Collection of Sonic games. There's been tons of people who are introduced to the Blue Blur and his classic games through this collection due to the fact that it's wide range, and it's a very important game because of that. It has a unique aesthetic charm. Its music is some of the best in the Sonic franchise. For just the fact that it's just a collection of games, they didn't go so hard in the music, but they did anyway. It's a good collection. It's not the best way to play these games, but at the time, this was the best way. Just a great overall collection of games. Now, could it be better? Yes, they were going to make it better. But hey, I won't blame them for Sega constraints. After all, Sega's not the best company to make the best decisions at times. We'll see that very shortly with their rush plans and things like that. But Mega Collection is a pretty important game, and it's one I enjoyed, and a lot of others also have enjoyed. It's a great game, and since it actually is pretty affordable to get, if you have one of those consoles, you're very fond of it, if you're a 6th-gen player, I do recommend picking it up. It's not bad. It's a pretty easy way to get all the games. Like I said, it's not the most ideal way to play these games. As I said in the previous videos for those games, which I recommend watching. My playlist should be on my channel, Sonic Games, rank reviews. I recommend watching those. You want more in-depth onto each of these games. But for now, we're going to take you to the next section. Sonic Mega Collection is the cheapest Sonic game that you can buy on GameCube, as a lot of the other ones have gone up in price. Mega Collection stays the same, mostly because these games have been released multiple times. So Mega Collection still has a very unique charm to this very day, and is definitely a must-have for your GameCube collection since it is affordable, has a lot of great games on it, and why not pick it up? Here's some of the other prices for the other consoles that have it. The PS2 version is even cheaper than the GameCube version, which is to be to say the least. It comes to 6th gen, it goes GameCube, PS2, and Xbox from prices to high to low, in case you're wondering. A lot of times, best off bet, you're best going to the Xbox. It's a pretty good console. Sometimes it has some hardware issues, but mine runs pretty well, and it plays games at better quality as well as having a hard drive and I think pretty good controller. I personally think the original Xbox is better than PS2. This is coming from someone who didn't play either of those two growing up. I was a GameCube kid. But yeah, that's my opinion. PS2 is not bad, but that intro is scary. Like, I would be scared of that if I was a child, to be honest. Why is this intro so uncanny? I don't really get it. This music creeps me out. I'm not playing it for you because, ugh. I guess all the 6th gen intros are kind of weird, to be honest. GameCube one is pretty iconic, even for those who haven't played GameCube. And the Xbox one, I guess, is also kind of weird. It's like it's about to explode on you, but I kind of like that too. But yeah, here's the original Xbox version, which is actually more expensive than PS2. Maybe the original Xbox games are going up in price. Who knows? Like I said, definitely recommend these on all the consoles. If you have one of them, if you have one of these consoles and really like playing them, it's a great Sonic game to get for cheap price for the amount you get. This game was also included on packs, like this pack here. It's just a combination of different things. It doesn't really matter that much, but just keep in mind there is additional packs that are more expensive. You don't have to worry about these, but they do exist. And that's about it for the Sonic Mega Collection. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you some flashbacks, or maybe it gave you some insight on what this game's all about. Like I said, I don't rank the collection, so you're not going to see my tier list that I do in the previous videos, so don't expect to see that there. But as a ranking, I would say this is definitely one of the better game collection rankings. I might do a ranking of all the collections, but, you know, I'm not sure. Let me know if you want to do that. You can let me know in the comment section below. But that'll be way further down the line when I'm done with this series, which I don't know when that will ever happen, this series. It takes a lot of strain on me, alright? It's not that easy to do it. It's not easy being blue. And Sonic's blue. And I'm not blue. I have no idea. I'm just set there. Anyway, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Subscribe for more. Become a Patreon member if you want, or a member of the channel. I don't really care. Get access early to videos. Give a like, give a comment, and whatever you want to do. You don't have to do any of those, but it'd be nice if you did. Bye-bye.